Hello guys, this is your friend Shinobi Nexus 2.0 and we are back in new fanfic. What if Naruto lost everything on his 6th birthday, earned Kurama's trust, and was adopted by Kakashi Part 3? Sunlight reflected off the kunai-shaped dark structure, illuminating many names of Konoha shinobi who had fallen in battle. Ninjas like Minato Namikaze, Akaku Yumino, and Obito Uchiha to name a few. Kakashi was currently paying his daily respects. He stood still in front of the memorial stone, lost in his thoughts and memories. This was the closest thing to therapy he had. And because of that the Junin was very contemptuous with his own silence. Isolation was no stranger to the grown man. This tranquil setting around the memorial could be found nowhere else in Konoha truthfully. Observing his reflection in the depressing monument one last time, the Junin left and took a stroll through the graveyard. He planned to greet his deceased father, but another presence in the yard caught his attention. A teenage boy surrounded by 3 young dogs. He was lighting a candle that was buried in the grave, finicking with a kunai as his eyesight never left the tomb. Judging by the marks upon his face, Kakashi connected the dots and assumed that he was an Inuzuka. The dogs surrounded the boy and kept watch diligently, particularly focusing their attention upon the 28-year-old. Maybe Kakashi could catch up with his father on a later date. Right now he had a team waiting for him at Training Ground 3. While fleeing the scene, Kakashi couldn't help eavesdropping. Good morning to San. Hana couldn't make it today. She's working a double shift in the hospital under Tsunade-sama's watch. But she hasn't forgotten about you. She told me to inform you that she is doing her utmost best to be a kunoichi that you'd be proud of. I finally taught Akamaru how to throw shuriken with his tail also. Kakashi decided to tune out the Inuzuka's ramblings. Comfort is different for everybody. 000. He is late again. This is seriously unprofessional for a Junin. Sakura complained as she balanced herself in the middle of a lake. To pass time on waiting for her sensei, she decided to perform an exercise Naruto advised her to do. He claims that if she took time to explore her chakra network, then her jutsus would be stronger. Forgive our sensei Sakura. He's paying respects to the dead. Her Uzumaki teammate informed as he threw kunais at her, forcing the girl to hop out of the way. A favor that he himself took upon to do. This time one of the knives he hurled sliced off small strands of her pink hair. Luckily Sakura dodged by ducking at the last second. Unfortunately she lost her concentration, causing her to submerge into the lake. Are you trying to kill me, you knucklehead? The kunoichi accused, as she pulled herself out of the body of water. I could throw the kunai underhanded if you want. Naruto's snarky remark made Sakura suppress a very strong urge to hit him. Sasuke, who was on the sidelines, paid little attention to the duo as he scrutinized his sword with his mature Sharingan. If one were to pay attention to the Uchiha closely, the faintest of smiles would be seen portrayed on his face. It was at this moment Kakashi decided to arrive. Good morning, my cute little genin, gather around. The trio stood front and center as they paid attention in unison. What's the routine for today, sensei? Sakura asked as she formed a ram hand seal, surging chakra all throughout her pores to expel all forms of liquid that clung to her clothes. Well, first we'll start our morning routing by heading to the Hokage Tower. To start our day with a nice and refreshing D-rank mission. Sasuke grew uneasy as for the past week Team 7 had been completing D ranks. Well, mostly him and Sakura had to complete these boring tasks. Naruto refused to help when it came to menial chores like painting fences, or restocking a civilian's fridge. A trait Sasuke turned a blind eye to. Sakura, on the other hand, was quite miffed at first. Eventually she grew to accept his choice every time her eyes landed upon the scar that ran down his left eye. With no complaint or objection the squad marched back into the village, heading straight for the cage tower. 000. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat in his cage throne as he chatted with his last 2 loyal students. A saucer of sake swished around in his hands as he listened to Tsunade's medical reports. After Shizun's recent Junin promotion, I've decided to entrust her with the second-in-command position regarding the hospital. Hana and Ino are developing quite nicely, but Ino shows impressive strides. Fatal injuries have decreased by 30% according to my comparison with last year's report. Sensei, I think it's time to implement the medic regime as circular in the academy. Tsunade read off a paper clipboard as she enjoyed her Yamanaka alcohol. I remember you pushing for that idea before you defected Tsunade Heim. I wonder why it was never established. Jiraiya added onto the conversation as he also read the manuscripts on his own paper clipboard. It was in time of war, Jiraiya-kun. At the time it was more important for students to pick up a kunai and fight, than to cultivate their ability to nurture. Hiruzen greatly enjoyed moments like this. Conversation with his students really did make the old man reminisce of the old times, the times when he had all three of his genins. Gigi, we have arrived. Naruto energetically bursted through the door with his team following in tow. Brat, what have I told you about respecting your superiors? You call Sensei Hokage-sama when you're in this building, got it? Tsunade scolded as a vein gradually started to reveal itself on her forehead. Naruto laughed as he placed his hands behind his head. I'll never change my ways, Ba-chan, Dadbao. Tsunade shot up from her chair as she rolled back her sleeve menacingly. At this moment Sasuke took a step in front of Naruto, cutting off the slug Sanin from committing whatever kind of punishment she had in mind. Oh, I see, you also need to be taught some manners too, Uchiha. A sour face expression formed on the boy's face as if he had swallowed a lime. But the genin still somehow managed to form an awkward smirk. Bring it. Luckily, resounding laughter from both Hiruzen and Jiraiya eased the atmosphere drastically. Sakura let out a breath of relief that she had no idea she was holding. Calm down, Tsunade Heim. Naruto's nicknames are terms of endearment that I allow. Now I assume Team 7 is here for a mission. Yes, Hokage-sama. Team 7 reporting for our daily D-rank mission. Kakashi stood front and center as he addressed his leader. Let's see what we have here. Would your genin like to paint fences? Or would you like to capture Tora again? It seems that Slippery Cat has gotten loose once more. Hiruzen continued to suggest more mundane tasks as he sorted through his desk full of scrolls with D's printed upon them. Kakashi, we need to take on a C-rank mission. These chores are not suited for capable shinobi like us. Sasuke demanded before he was stuck with even more house chores. I agree with Tem. We've been hammering out D-rank missions this whole month. We need excitement, Kakashi, not boredom. Naruto added his 2 cents. Kakashi's gaze landed on Sakura. His attention prompted the girl to voice her own opinion. A change of scenery would be nice, Sensei. Sakura stated. Looks like Team 7 has come to a unanimous vote for a C-rank mission. I don't see why we should deprive them of the experience, Sensei. Jiraiya vouching for the squad brought smiles upon the genin faces, except Sasuke. Hiruzen had agreed wholeheartedly, so he decided to ping his assistant. Send in Tazuna. A gray-haired, bespectacled man with a large beard and dark eyes walked through the wore a sleeveless versus neck shirt with an obi, pants and a pair of sandals. He also carried a towel around his neck and wore a pointed hat on his head. So these are my escorts. They're all a bunch of kids. Tazuna tried his best to act professional, but his flushed face was a clear giveaway that he was intoxicated. Great, as if we didn't have enough drunk adults in this room. Sasuke's off-handed comment ignited Tsunade's wrath. What was that brat? Sasuke. Sakura cried out in terror as she consoled the Uchiha who was now sitting on the floor. Nursing his head, Naruto stood by in shock. In all the years he knew his best friend, this was the first time he saw the Avenger be humbled. It was uncomfortably humiliating. 000. Tazuna eyeballed a crimson apple. Currently he was restocking on provisions before he regrouped with Team 7. After being introduced to his carriers, the silver-haired Junin instructed him to rendezvous at the north gate in 3 hours. Tazuna had let out a stressed sigh. He was grateful for the 3 hours as he needed it to shake off his drunkenness. But in all honesty, the man wasn't quite ready to leave this beautiful village. The civilians here lived in a tone of tranquility, vastly different from the daily oppressions he was accustomed to. Placing the apple in his plastic bag, he went to the vendor merchant. He bought an assortment of breads and lunch boxes. Good, I have just enough ryo for the boat ride into Wave. Time's almost up. Might as well make my way over there. When the old man arrived at the north gate, he found the 3 familiar children conversing casually, their backs facing towards him as they were huddled together. Naruto snapped his attention towards Tazuna before being followed by Sasuke, then Sakura. Good morning, Tazuna-san. Hope you're ready to travel all the way back to your country. Sakura waved at him as she greeted the bridge builder. How did they know I was approaching? No way they could hear my footsteps. I'm way too far away for that. Tazuna decided to bury his curiosity and label their actions as ninja senses. Your leader is late. The old man rebuttals as he shoots an accusing finger towards them. Not even a second later, Kakashi landed behind him. No worries, Tazuna-san, I'm quite punctual when it comes to my profession. Sakura blanched at Kakashi's words, but before she could object, Naruto intervened. Yada. Finally, it's time to get this show on the road. Naruto took lead confidentiality. Kakashi gave a nod of his nod to Izumo and Katetsu as he and his squad bypassed them. For a while the group traveled in silence. Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke stayed on high alert. Sakura was busy brainstorming future paths she should take for her career. A genjutsu specialist interested her, but having an Uchiha on the team made that role quite useless. The second option that crossed her mind was becoming a medical nin. She wondered if she had what it takes to be on Tsunade's level of expertise. She was cut out of her musing by a gentle nudge from Naruto. In case if your back is against the wall, use this explosion tag. I modified it to create a super big explosion. You should keep your distance before you use it if you don't want to get caught in the fire. Naruto retrieved a yellow paper that was attached to kunai. The piece of paper was designed with intricate markings and was about the same size as a normal tag. Ah, thanks, Whiskers. Naruto stiffened at the nickname. No, I forbid you from calling me that. After he finished forbidding Sakura, Naruto crossed his arms to form an X. Sakura laughed. You know, Ino told me that you're self-conscious of your whiskers. You should embrace that rare feature of yours. Sakura said. Naruto perked up after realizing who she hinted to. You went to see Ino. Yeah, after having our talk when we trained that day. I've come to realize that maybe our friendship was on the rocks because of my cold feet. A confectionery smile graced Sakura. A smile that was contagious. Soon she had Naruto mimicking her action. That's great to hear, Cherry Blossom. Sakura shook her head. Some nicknames worked, others did not. 000. Tazuna and the gang traveled across the land fire at moderate speeds. They had made good time for traveling with a civilian. Finally they arrived at a discreet dock, where Tazuna had a conversation with a fisherman. There the bridge builder swindled his way into a good deal by paying for a one-way boat ride into his village. The land of waves. The paranoid fisherman steering his dinghy boat, which had seemed like it had enough adventures. In Sakura's opinion, the trip was lackluster. Until they passed by a giant unfinished bridge, it reminded her of a hand dusting away as it reaches for nothingness. So this is your project, Tazuna. Wow, you really did earn your bridge building title. The redhead whistled at the impressive project. The sheer size of the construction could have anybody admiring it. The dingy they were in was at least the size of each column holding up the bridge. Hush. I can't believe I have to order Ninja to quiet down. This is a huge favor I'm doing for you, Tazuna, and I refuse to get caught for it. The captain of the boat hissed in a subdued tone. That must be why he hasn't turned on his motor. Sasuke thought offhandedly as he continued to stare into the fog. Soon after they entered a tunnel that was constructed with blue bricks. At the end of the tunnel shined a bright light. Passing through the ways of sunshine they ended up in Tazuna's hometown. A small fishing village with the majority of buildings being supported by stilts in the sea. Boardwalks were used as pathways. But what really caught Sasuke's eyes was a male civilian that was observing him and his squad for a little too long. Eventually the raven-haired teen dismissed him. It must not be every day this village gets tourists of the ninja kind. There should be a path to my house right about this way. Tazuna said as he hopped off of the boat. His bones ached as his joints popped and crackled while he stretched. With Team 7 taking guard, Tazuna led the band of shinobi to his humble abode. 000. Gato-sama. It looks as if Tazuna returned with reinforcements. I also believe that his bodyguards are shinobi. The conspicuous man who was stalking Team 7 earlier had now barged into a room that was occupying a meeting. A meeting between Gato, founder of Gato Company, and his hired mercenary rogue ninja employees. Shinobi, you say? That sneaky rat Tazuna? Oh well, they will be dealt with. Gato, who was currently enjoying a meal, spat out threats illy. Ninja from what village? Zabuza, an ex-member of the legendary Seven Swordsmen, asked the informant. They had leaves carved into their headbands. I think they are Konoha ninja, replied the informant. Zabuza retrieved a bingo book from his back pocket. He started flipping through pages before he handed it to the spy. Stop reading at page 35. See if any of those ninja look familiar. The bland-looking man started sorting through the pages. Until he took a pause at a certain data entry. I'm certain he was one of the ninjas guarding Tazuna. His shaky voice didn't instill confidence, but Zabuza did not care. Fear makes people less likely to inform incorrectly. Especially when that fear is being forced upon you by Zabuza himself. Gato, to a lesser extent, his presence was still commanding. To some degree. Gato was a man with a short temper that made questionable decisions on a whim. Truly a monster in his own right. Kakashi the copycat ninja. Gozu, Maizu, follow me. We are going to nick this problem right now before the Konoha ninja can settle. Haku, we're going to prepare for war. Something tells me that your Kekkei Genkai will be needed. Yes, Zabuza-sama. And with that the Kiri-nin left Gato headquarters to greet the Konoha shinobi with a warm welcome. 000. It's been 4 years since we last saw our little Uchiha friend. Look. He's all grown up. The white half of Zetsu said in a playful tone. Unfortunately his narrative feedback got on his other half's nerves greatly. The designated spy for the terrorist was connected to a tree limb. He kind of resembled a seedling sprouting its first stem. Could you speak any louder, you simpleton? I need to know if my gift is being put to good use. And with all of your yammering I might miss the results. Why did we even fork over that taijutsu scroll to him in the first place? Black Zetsu withheld a very heavy sigh. He knew he didn't need to entertain his other half's consistent questions. The only reason why he does is so that he can discover obvious flaws in any of his schemes. That Uchiha will bring forth a commanding presence in the shinobi world. All he needs is a little push. The plant-like Akatsuki member continued to follow Team 7 in the shadows. He's probably not thinking about you at all. Can you just shut up now? 000. The trek to Tazuna's house had been uneventful so far. Kakashi, being a veteran member of Team 7, did not favor the normalcy. No, danger would likely reveal itself right about now. When Genin are lax and not expecting a thing. Kakashi, I sensed 2 presences hidden up the road and 2 other ninja hidden in the trees nearby. Judging by the potency of the chakra signatures, it seems like 1 Junin and 3 Chunin. Naruto spoke up. The redhead retrieved a kunai and subtly took the lead after he announced that. Sakura, get in front of Tazuna and protect him. Naruto, Sasuke, you two will deal with the Chunin threats. I'll take care of the Junin threat. Kakashi put away his Ika Ika series as he got ready for battle. I'll take the two hidden up ahead of the trail. Sasuke announced lowly as he rested his hand upon his tanto. His Uchiha blood rushed with eagerness at the thought of battle. I'll deal with the one in the trees, I guess. Naruto secured his hitate more as he bit down on the handle of his kunai. Rookies fresh from the academy were about to encounter their first battle with enemy ninja. What a rush. Sasuke and Naruto were determined to win. Sakura was anxious but kept her mind on the mission objective. A giant cleaver sword was sent hurtling toward the squad, but it was easily swatted with Naruto's chains. Shock ran through Zabuza's face as he saw his executioner blade easily dismissed by a mere genin. Acting fast, he brought his fingers up to his ears to turn on his communicator. Haku, I want you to take on the redhead. Kill him immediately. Permission to use your Kekkei Genkai as Enmizu kill the Uchiha. After the rogue Junin barked his orders over the microphone, his subordinates immediately went on to attack. You got it, boss. You got it, boss. Gozu and Maizu simultaneously yelled out their confirmatives. The duo jumped out of the puddle to bisect Sasuke in half with a metal chain that connected the two of them. Sasuke smirked as he unsheathed his tanto, siphoning lighting chakra into his blade. The Avenger took a swing at the chain, smoothly severing the wire of metal in half. The two brothers drifted apart from each other, surprised they weren't connected anymore. Naruto's sixth sense was on high alert as he shifted his foot to avoid a single needle made out of ice. 1 Senbon turned into 2. 2 turned into 10. Eventually the weapons multiplied enough that the redhead couldn't count them all. Irritation showed on the Jinchuriki's face immediately. The next action he decided to do was jump head first into the forest to seek out this hidden assailant. Naruto was tired of the needles and he wanted them to end now. Meanwhile, Zabuza landed by his sword and picked it up, pointing it straight to Kakashi's head as if to declare war. Copycat ninja Kakashi Hatake. Your luck will not save you today. You're protecting a very valuable person over there, and unfortunately for you I need to eliminate him. Zabuza took a couple steps forward, never breaking eye contact. Kakashi looked behind him and signaled Sakura to take Tazuna away. Oh, I see. Well, our client Tazuna cannot die today. Kakashi lifted his hitai to reveal his Sharingan. So we've come to a disagreement. Zabuza's shoulders tensed. His grip on the blade tightened. It seems so. Kakashi took a step forward. With no more words shared between the two men, they clashed. 000. The brothers looked wickedly wary as they gave each other nod before running circles around the Uchiha. Sweden. Sweden no jutsu. Sweden. Sweden no jutsu. Powerful torrents of water pinched the Uchiha. Sasuke wasn't worried as he effortlessly replaced himself with a log. Coming out of the forest nearby, he sheathed his weapon and activated his mature Sharingan. Oh, how much did the Uchiha love activating his dojutsu. From the way how easily he could read the panicked breaths of Gozu, to how the leaves rustled in the wind. Everything just seemed clear. Holding out his hand in a taunting motion, Sasuke tried to aggravate both of his opponents with a grin on his smile. He really liked playing with his food. Gozu, he has the Sharingan, don't look him in the eyes. Sasuke let out an offended scoff before he rushed into Maizu with a kick, forcing the Chunin to take a step back. Then he had to twist his head to dodge a hook thrown by Sasuke. Gozu appeared from behind the Uchiha and took a swing at his cranium with his giant metal gauntlet. Sasuke dropped low and stabbed Gozu with a kunai right into his torso, ending a water clone's life. His combo wasn't finished as he twisted and swept Maizu's legs, who was still recovering his balance. Now on the floor, Maizu panicked and threw a couple shuriken at Sasuke's neck. The Avenger caught the stars easily and threw them right back, landing all of the metal projectiles into Maizu's thighs, severing veins. Get away from my brother, you little shit. Gozu threw some kunai attached to paper bombs with deadly precision. His accuracy was spot on, but unfortunately for him, Sasuke had seen the attack come from a mile away. Dropping to the floor, he grabbed Mizu before he could stand and used his body as shield from the minor explosions. Painful gasps were heard from Gozu as the Uchiha threw Mizu's body away so effortlessly. Before Sasuke was about to end this battle, a huge explosion in the distance stopped him dead in his tracks. Gozu was also distracted by the explosion, but he brought his attention back upon the Uchiha. Unfortunately for him, he looked right into Sasuke's Sharingan in the process. Everything then went black. I hope that was Kakashi's jutsu. Sasuke grimly thought as he proceeded to tie up Gozu's unconscious body. 000. Naruto was in a staring contest with his masked foe. Standing on a branch that belonged to a towering tree. He was about 5 meters in the air. The way he stood reminded Naruto of an owl. The fake hunter Nin observed Naruto's every move as his long hair fluttered in the wind. So you're the one who keeps hurling those tiny needles. If you actually think those Senbon could kill me, then you're in for a serious wake-up call. The Jinchuriki goaded his opponent. Haku did not respond verbally but instead with action. Said ninja started to weave hand signs with just his right hand. Hyoten. Makio Hyosho. His chilling voice was heard throughout the forest. A mirror made of ice then formed directly behind the redhead. His assailant zoomed out of it with a kunai in hand. If Naruto wasn't a censor, he for sure would have been stabbed in the neck right then and there. Dodging the attempt at his life, Naruto retrieved a kunai of his own and parried Haku's slashes. After 2 countered jabs, Haku decided to engage with taijutsu. Each punch Haku threw was met with Naruto's knuckles, elbows or shin. The shinobi from Kiri was sweating bullets at this point. He wasn't prepared for Naruto to be so proficient at hand-to-hand combat. He practically buckled against the sheer amount of force behind Naruto's kicks and punches. Finally, our whiskered protagonist managed to land a solid punch on Haku's mask. The punch sent Haku sprawling to the floor. But the masked ninja managed to throw a couple of Senbons while falling. His mask, however, completely shattered on impact. The sheer speed and accuracy in close proximity overwhelmed Naruto, and the needles found themselves in his neck. Haku was shocked seeing the boy turn into a cloud of smoke. I didn't expect you to be this skilled. You might actually pose a threat. Haku said as he searched his surroundings for the Uzumaki. Ninjas who underestimate their opponents don't last long in this world. Now the roles were reversed. Naruto was looking down upon Haku as he stood on the same branch. But the air of seriousness around the Jinchuriki faltered when he noticed Haku's feminine face. Wait, I thought you were a guy this whole time. Growing tired of his enemy's banter, Haku once again started to weave one-handed seals. Hyoten. Hisatsu Hyaso. The tree Naruto was standing on was torn through with giant ice spikes. One of the spikes managed to skewer the genin. But once again he substituted with a shadow clone, surviving the chilling jutsu. Haku stumbled with his stance as he was now surrounded by an army of shadow clones. Acting on instinct, the ice ninja started to cast his ultimate jutsu. Naruto sensed the massive amounts of chakra build-up he was gathering and ordered his doppelgangers to stop him. Hyoten. Makio Hyosho. The group of clones were now surrounded by a dome made of ice mirrors. But Naruto still had the upper hand since he surrounded Zabuza's pupil. A serious bout of taijutsu commenced between the two. Haku spent the next minute weaving and deflecting quick jabs mixed with axe kicks that came from each direction of his surroundings. Suddenly Haku was very glad of the tortuous stamina drills Zabuza had put him through. If he hadn't been fast enough to react to this opponent, he would have surely been beaten to a pulp by now. One clone caught his eye as he soared through the skies, dropping from the heavens. A sealing matrix made out of ink covering his palm. Haku's danger instincts went through the roof, so he started to cast a jutsu. Whatever that technique was, he did not want to find out. Hyoten. Hyro no Jutsu. A block of ice formed from the ground up, and ensnared Haku. Naruto then pounced upon the block of ice. A sealing array formed and started to ingrain itself onto the frost. If this ice works anything like Gaara's sand, then you're surely paralyzed. Naruto dismissed his clones after he finished his verbal observation. A huge explosion went off in the distance. He recognized that power instantly. Sakura. The dome of ice was still up and Naruto scowled. Kurama, I need you to lend me some chakra. Oh, so you finally remember I exist. Naruto was flooded with Biju chakra. About one's tail worth. Gaining beast-like features upon his face. His nails grew to small claws. Then his stomach expanded to the size of a bowling ball. Futon. Diatapa. Slapping his stomach, the young boy burped out ferocious winds. Gala storms threw Haku out of his glacier like a cool breeze carrying loose paper through the air. Shattering the ice dome. Then turning that said ice into crystallized dust. Hurling the mist mercenary right into the canopy. Breaking a few bones as he most certainly flew quite a distance. He thanks Furball-chan. An offended scoff was the fox's response. What followed next was Naruto making a beeline straight for where the blast appeared. 000. Zabuza brought down his massive sword in a wide windmill swipe. Kakashi sidestepped to the left and thrusted a kunai to Zabuza's head. The ninja ducked down and twirled the Kurobacho into a high swing. Attempting to decapitate Kakashi, the Leaf Junin threw his arms into the ground as he bends backwards. His feet clipped Zabuza's chin as he brought both of his legs up for a backflip. The man ate that kick and seemed to respond with anger instead of pain. Fixing his stance, he replicated the form of a batter getting ready to swing. Charging Suiten chakra into his blade. Zabuza swung, a mighty wave gushing out the sword. Kakashi was baffled by how quick the demon of the hidden mist could handle such a heavy weapon. At the last moment, the silvered-haired man substituted with a log that was ripped apart as if the piece of wood was paper. Seeing an opportunity, Zabuza performed Kiri's signature jutsu. Kurigakure no Jutsu. Kakashi was about to ram a Raikiri right into his foe's heart. But fortunately, or unfortunately, who knows at this point, he was surrounded by a thick haze. The Sharingan became unusable because of the chakra-induced covering. Two clones then attacked both of his blind sides in tandem. The duo tried to bisect him by cleaving his torso front both sides. Thanks to his reflexes, Kakashi hopped straight up and kicked both of their heads, effectively turning them back into water. Another clone entered from the veil of mist. But unfortunately he stepped on an explosive tag that was placed earlier by Kakashi. The jutsu collapsed and the water turned into vapor, rejoining the thick fog that controlled the setting. The mist then lightened, allowing Kakashi to see his surroundings more clearly. Then the gray-haired man looked towards the direction of Sakura and saw Zabuza running towards her. Acting on instinct, he raced to intercept the straggling clone, but was nearly stabbed because he was cut off by Zabuza throwing his executioner blade like it was a kunai. The blade embedded itself in the ground right in front of him. Nonetheless, he backpedaled just before he was cripply wounded. His pause in movement was just enough time for Zabuza to finish his A-rank jutsu. Suiten no Jutsu. Rushing waves started to form the structure of a dragon and rose behind him. The jutsu took moisture from the surrounding trees and grass to energize it, leaving behind dried up grass and withering husks. The water dragon then gunned straight for Kakashi. Luckily, the veteran Junin summoned an earth wall to tank the attack. As he was about to go underground, Zabuza vaulted over the wall and sent a drop kick towards his cranium. Kakashi threw himself to the ground and rolled away from the incoming kick. As he got up to engage his foe, he found himself trapped in a dome of water. Suishin no Jutsu. It's a good thing you forgot about the puddle my earlier loans had left. Mist Junin announced Kakashi's foil tauntingly. Suddenly a big explosion combusted behind Zabuza. Even he was surprised by the attack. Sakura, I have to get out of here now. Kakashi banged against the water, trying his best to break through the prison. Well, it's over, Hatake. After you drown, I'll go on to finish off your brats. Zabuza gave no mercy to his exiled man, relished having Kakashi under his bidding so much that he almost did not notice the intrusion on his chakra network. Unsheathing his Kubikiribocho, Zabuza clashed his sword against Sasuke's Tanto. Little did he know the Uchiha's blade was charged with lightning chakra, so he managed to cut right through the legendary weapon, managing to leave a large bleeding gash on his back in the process. His spine felt like it was on fire as he canceled to the water prison. Kakashi fell to the floor harshly as he let out a crippling cough. After he threw up some water, he brought his attention right back onto his female genant. Naruto flew by wickedly fast as he investigated in her direction. There was no time to relax on the battlefield. The retired Anbu captain then got back onto his 2 feet. Kakashi was confident that Naruto could handle whatever situation Sakura had gotten herself into. Then grabbed a summoning scroll from his front pocket on the roll of paper. Kakashi then ripped off a piece of his skin by biting his thumb. He then smeared the blood across the scroll. 7 summoned dogs now stood guard in front of the Leaf Jonin. After a silent command from their summoner, all of the canines went on the attack. Zabuza tried to cut Paku, a pug wearing a mini blue vest, in half with what remained of his blade, but was once again thwarted by Sasuke's Tanto. Eventually the man was taken down with the combination of all 6 dogs, dogpiling him. Sasuke and Kakashi then approached the downed mercenary. From Zabuza's perspective, the sunlight blinded him and made the duo look like 2 silhouettes. But what he had seen clearly were 3 red glowing eyes, Tomoeos spinning slowly as they stared into his very soul. The man was slightly frightened but scoffed at their attempt to unnerve him. It seems you and your child bested me. Well then, what are you waiting for? Finish me off. Zabuza yelled definitely but was still held in place by the canines. Each dog had a limb pinned down the floor as they bit him. The sound of 1,000 birds started resonating from Kakashi's palm. Sparks of lightning danced and popped before it coated his hand entirely. The Konoha Junin then plunged the lightning blade right into the defeated ninja's heart. Zabuza Mamamiki was no more. 000. Moments before, Tazuna was trying his best to run for his dear life. Honestly, Sakura was impressed with the old man's speed. Even though she wasn't pumping chakra through her legs, the alcoholic old man was keeping up with her in strafes. Hey Tazuna-san, do you know why we were attacked all of the sudden? Sakura asked as she kept up a brisk jog next to the bridge builder. Tazuna came to a halt as he placed his hands upon his knees, his lungs expanding and shrinking repeatedly like an accordion on a solo. Are we far away? Huff, enough yet, cough ninja girl. The duo had been running ever since Naruto swatted away the giant sword with his chains. Of course Sakura wanted to stay and help her teammates fight. But alas, the goal of this mission was to protect and escort Tazuna-san no matter what. She took it upon herself to handle this duty with her best of fact that her teammates believed in her fully, motivated her greatly. She will make sure Tazuna-san gets home safely. Honestly, I doubt so. We need to cover a lot of distance to shake off a Junin. But sir, you need to answer my question. Is there somebody after you? Sakura continued to interrogate her client. Tazu broke eye contact as a look of guilt was expressed. It only took a frown from Sakura for the man to start talking. Look, the truth is there's a powerful man that doesn't want me building my bridge. He's a tyrant that rules over my village from the shadows. Ever since he and his thugs established their rule, traders from neighboring countries and villages have forgotten about us. The man responsible for all of this is, Tazuna stopped his monologue as Sakura suddenly pulled out a kunai from her pouch. Tazuna, get behind me and start running now. Approaching was none other than Zabuza himself. casually holding his blade like a hobo carrying a bindle. Sakura was glad by his relaxed posture, which meant he underestimated her. And for the pink-haired genin that could possibly be the deciding factor for surviving this encounter. Move aside, little girl, I have business to do. While this water clone was significantly weaker than the original, the clone still had enough of killer intent to unsettle a rookie. Haruno's legs started to shake. She tried her best to keep a calm mind. Haste causes obvious mistakes cause quick deaths. A mantra she kept repeating to herself, loud enough for the clone to hear if his dark chuckles indicated that. I won't back down. Tazuna will be brought home today. And I put that on my ninja way. Sakura charged in with a kunai in her hand. Her small body allowed her to dodge the wide swing from Zabuza. While his sword was stuck in the ground, Sakura threw a left hook. She tried her hardest to clock Zabuza, but the man simply leaned back. Seeing a small frame opening, Sakura twisted her body fully, sending a roundhouse kick to his bandaged neck. The legendary swordsman simply caught her foot and threw her away. The 2-week training program she went through after graduation helped her significantly as she roserved in midair. Unfortunately, Zabuza took his attention off of her and booked it for the fleeting bridge builder. Luckily, Sakura had created a regular clone earlier that was hiding behind a tree a little distance further. Said clone hopped out of the shrubs and barged in Zabuza's way, trying her best to slow him down just for a second. With a slash, the construct of chakra was no more. But that allowed Sakura to bombard him with shuriken flying at impressive speeds. The man scoffed before batting away the metal stars with his sword. You know, you're pretty stubborn for a kid. I guess I have to make another example. For the first time since the battle started, Zabuza had chosen to take Sakura seriously. Approaching her with Junin speeds, our little genin had no time to react. Or better yet, she couldn't react until it was too late. Instincts took her. She brought her kunai up to clash with the incoming Kubikiribocho, but her kunai simply wasn't sturdy enough to keep the mass of metal at bay. The next thing she knew, her right arm laid right at her feet. Before she could even muster a scream, the poor girl caught an elbow straight to the chin, sending her down to the floor. Forced to watch Zabuza dismiss her. Each step he took closer to Tazuna, who was far away at this point but could be easily caught up to, made another tear, laid there losing consciousness by the minute. Her heart ached, her bleeding stomach burned, and her mind ran rampant. I failed. Now the mission is over. No, I refuse to die and accomplish nothing. She was in excruciating pain, but her adrenaline kicked in like a train. Fingering inside her tool pouch, she cursed. All of her tags were just paper. None of them were attached to a kunai. Even though the nuke nin was close, she had no strength to throw a tag accurately. Crumbling one would make lots of noise also, in turn that would alert her fleeing foe. She then felt a tag attached to a kunai. It was the bright yellow explosion tag that Naruto gifted her earlier. Zabuza was now just a few steps away from her. Time really does slow down when one is in critical situations. Pumping all the chakra she could into her arms, she chucked it towards his back. Kai! A guttural war cry that had no business coming from the mouth of a lady alerted the. A blinding light enveloped the two before a nuke of an explosion was brought upon them. The explosion was so big that any person that was passing by could see it a kilometer away. The results: a massive crater that had a 5-yard radius and was 4 feet deep. At the very center was a charred body that was covered in dust and dirt, no clone in sight. This was what greeted Naruto as he arrived at the very edge of the crater. His Biju cloak flickering because was in pure shock. Sakura! Naruto's desperate cry echoed throughout the clearing. Stumbling down the crater, he came to a crashing stop at the burnt body. The boy was in pure distress and he wiped off dirt mixed with blood that covered the body. His tears singed and evaporated as they came into contact with the charcoal black sin. Her hair was non-existent and her face was barely recognizable. Most of her clothes had been burned off, but what really made the redhead cringe was her missing right arm. How did this happen, Kurama? Naruto slowly cradled Sakura's body in his arms for comfort. The fox made no attempt to answer. Naruto knew his teammate was still alive, albeit barely. Her chest rose very little. The eye would certainly miss it completely, but Naruto felt her lungs breathe in air for only a second. Her chakra signature was also dulled greatly, but she still was emitting small amounts of chakra. She was on death's door and she would soon be deceased if nothing were to be done. I thought we were going to become stronger enough so we could avoid this. What exactly were we doing for the past 5 years? Once again the fox made no attempt to answer. The sound of wet footsteps snapped Naruto out of his despair. The ninja who he had defeated earlier now stood in front of him. His clothes were littered with holes as he was bleeding severely, with many cuts littering his arms, chest, and legs. His left leg was concerningly stiff as he stood in an awkward position. His hair practically stuck to his sweaty face. In all words, the guy looked like absolute death. It seems your teammate sacrificed herself for the greater good so she could complete her mission. Naruto didn't choose to respond but instead opted to listen. She is a true ninja. One worthy of honor. Is this the first time you've seen an ally perish in battle? Yes. Naruto's answer was simple yet strained. This is part of what it means to be a ninja. To die for one's village. Haku said as he looked around the clearing. But what did he know about loyalty? Naruto didn't see a headband on his body before or now. Your sensei killed my teammate. Naruto accused through clenched teeth. His grip on Sakura tightened. Haku was not threatened at all and simply stared back at him with an empty gaze. I see. Will you now strike me down for revenge? Haku asked with haggard breaths. Barely able to stand as he was swinging side to side. Flashbacks started to Naruto once he heard the word revenge. Memories from the day he met Kurama and he was tortured by the civilians. Who punished him for revenge? Memories from when Gaara was almost killed by his own uncle. Itachi slaughtering his whole clan. Finally now this where Sakura laid bleeding out and mangled in his arms. No, Naruto didn't want revenge at all. Then what do you want, Naruto? Kurama had been waiting to ask this question ever since the day his Jinchuriki gained that scar over his left eye. I want to change the world. I want to change the world for the better. Raw emotion guided the Uzumaki's judgment. That's a hefty goal, you certainly can't enforce that as you are now. No. But with your help I'll achieve that goal. I need to be unstoppable so my influence can never be prevented. This world is ran on blood and that needs to change. Excellent, you've finally realized your calling, Naruto. Now wake up to reality. The chakra cloak around Naruto instantly receded. The eternal wound over his left eye vanished without a trace. Kurama deemed that his host didn't need a reminder to fuel his ambition anymore. No, what happened today would be enough. Naruto then made eye contact with the mutual that stood before him once again. No, I don't want revenge. Instead I want your name. Naruto then started to undo the wrapping that covered his sleeves. Haku Yuki, and yours. Naruto Uzumaki. Why did you come here? To this crater I mean. Haku looked up into the sky as he heaved a heavy sigh. Like you, I saw the explosion. It took me a minute to get back onto my feet but I followed the blast, hoping that I could support my sensei in whatever battle he was in that caused this. Naruto raised an eye as he finished wrapping both Sakura's legs. You could barely stand right now but you were planning to jump into confrontation. Why? I'll do anything to protect those that are important to me. Naruto gave an understanding nod as he finished wrapping his teammate. No more words were shared between the two. But a mutual respect was gained. This was when Sasuke and Kakashi decided to join the scene as they came to a skidding halt when they viewed the catastrophe. The latter pulled his headband over his Sharingan as a shadow eclipsed his other eye as well. The man was visibly shaking. Sasuke on the other hand didn't know how to react, so he decided to fall into anger and tried to finish off Haku. Naruto raised his hand right before the Uchiha could spill any more of Haku's blood. There's been enough bloodshed today. Let him live, he's no longer a threat to the mission nor us. Sasuke looked at his teammate as if he was ludicrous but didn't challenge his decision. Then Sasuke turned his attention towards his sensei for confirmation. But the man clearly wasn't fit for a final say as of now. Kakashi's gaze on the wrapped body looked lost. He stood solemnly and his guard was let down. Naruto then pointed behind him in the same direction the Sharingan duo arrived from. Walk that way and you'll find your sensei's corpse, Haku. The ice ninja then limped away, never to be seen again. Naruto, is that Sakura in all of those bandages? The raven-haired genin inquired as he sheathed his sword. Naruto didn't respond but instead gave a depressed look. His silence spoke 1,000 words to Sasuke. I'm going to place a stasis seal on her so she doesn't die. When the seal is active, anything inside will be temporarily frozen in time and space. Hopefully Tsunade Bachin can save her when we return home. The nine-tailed Jinchuriki placed his hand on top of the mummified girl. A sealing array spread across the mummified genin. Picking her up, bridal style, Naruto stared ahead. Then a chakra signature from the forestry alerted him. But when he checked for the presence was gone. Oi Fox, did you sense that? Naruto asked as he kept trying to sense the chakra presence. Looks like you need to watch out and stay alert. You've got a little stalker. Naruto shudders with discomfort. The thought of having a stalker did not sit right with the Uzumaki. Naruto then raised his fist. Kakashi and Sasuke didn't react. But both knew of the hidden signal. Let's go get the old man. Naruto then carried his poor teammate as he proceeded to walk. Team 7 would then later find Tazuna down the road, severely out of breath. 000. Snow had started to fall at a steady pace as Haku approached his sensei's dead body. His head was severed cleanly off. Haku concluded one of the Konoha ninja must have decapitated him for his bounty. Kubikiribocho was on the ground right next to him. One of Kiri's natural treasures left for the scavengers. Icy tears seeped out of his eyes as his vision became blurred. He failed his sensei when he needed him in his most critical time. But Haku's resolve wouldn't die here, no. Crouching down, the ice ninja heaved as he dragged the executioner blade through the sand. Don't worry, master, your dream won't die with you. Kiri will be freed by my hands or I will die trying. Haku struggled desperately as dragged the great sword behind him as he limped away from the battlefield. His blood seeped through his wooden sandals, leaving bloody footprints and a fine line trail in the snow. It was a pitiful scene for Gozu to witness as he stumbled upon his partner in assassination. The now retired demon brother caught Haku before he fell face first into the ground. Haku was visibly surprised as he initially thought he had been the only survivor. Oh Gozu, I see you survived. Good. Gozu's rebreather was gone and the single horn on his forehead protector was bashed off, now showing an angular face that was accompanied by a row of sharp teeth. That Uchiha brat killed my brother Haku. I want revenge. But as we are now, we most likely don't stand a chance. Gozu said. Instead of revenge, how about we focus on another goal? I plan to liberate Kiri from Yagura. If you help me accomplish that, then we'll have a whole village to challenge the Uchiha once everything is said and done. Gozu cupped his chin as he thought about Haku's plan. You plan to defeat Yagura? Gozu asked. Yagura will only be a stepping stone in restoring Kiri to its former glory. It's what Zabuza wanted and I'll be damned to let his dreams die. Haku spoke with emotion and determination. Alright, I'm in. Even though your claims are suicidal, it will be fun to see how far we'll get in this endeavor. The duo then adventured onwards to the hidden mist. Legends soon to be created. 000. The remaining members of Team 7 were currently in Tazuna's house having dinner with his family. The trip on the way to Tazuna's abode was deadly silent. A moment of silence agreed upon between all four males for their fallen teammate bodyguard. But as soon as they were housed, Tazuna got to spilling all his information he knew about Gato. Coincidentally, Tsunami, daughter of Tazuna, had finished cooking supper and offered meals to the shinobi. Kakashi, the Oso master of hospitality, accepted her graces. But while the leaf ninja were filling their gullets, they also discussed their next course of action. So how do you two propose how we handle this Gato situation? Kakashi asked in the most business tone Sasuke and Naruto have ever heard from him. I want Gato to be held accountable. His greed is the reason why Sakura ended up like this. Naruto went first to state his resolve. Tsunami, who had been the closest to the mummified Haruno, took a step back. She desperately hoped that the bandages didn't contain a body, but now that she got confirmation, she kept her distance from the package. On what level do you want his punishment to be? Sasuke asked as he finished his steaming bowl of stew. Naruto sent a look towards Sakura and then thought about all the suffering the land of waves had to endure. Not only that, but he forced unnecessary blood to be shed so he could stay on top. A tyrant if the Uzumakis had to describe one. Kill the human, to me it doesn't seem like he will change his views. That insect holds too much power for an arrogant human. Kurama tried his best to influence Naruto. But the redhead had to agree with the fox this time. Naruto doesn't want murder to be an answer all the time, but for this situation, it had to be done. He needs to be executed. Immediately, tonight to be exact. Stated the Jinchuriki. I agree with you, Naruto, but what if Gato sends henchmen to take out Tazuna as soon as we leave him unaccompanied? Kakashi addressed immediate concerns as the sun had started to set. Calming orange light illuminating the room. Naruto is a censor, remember sensei. Even if he does, we should encounter whatever thugs he sends on the way. Sasuke spoke as he stared longingly out the window. Also, Gato may be rich, but I don't think the man is stupid. Knowing the status Zabuza carried, I bet he and his gang were the strongest ninja he had to offer. He wouldn't even think of sending an army of bandits to wipe us out. If he did, there wouldn't be anybody to keep the village in check or to stop them from revolting against him, if news somehow got out that he wasn't protected. Naruto put in his 2 cents as he finished his bowl of food. Then it's settled, we will. Kakashi was cut off by a loud slam on the table. It was Inari, son of Tsunami, who had banged his hands upon the wooden structure. The child looked like he had strong opinions for Team 7. Why do you guys even bother trying so hard? In the end, you all will be no match for Gato's men. He'll just kill you like everybody else. Naruto's mood turned sour at Inari's burst. The Jinchuriki retrieved a kunai from his pouch slowly, startling both Tsunami and her son. Ramming a kunai knife into the table, Naruto's pupils became slits as he stared into Inari's eyes. Listen, kid, I may not know of your past. But one thing I do know for sure is that we both have bad blood with that sick bastard. Mark my words, Inari, before sunrise, that man will pay. Inari's tears came to a stop. Unrivaled discomfort settled up on the child. Not knowing how to respond to the ninja, Inari bolted up the stairs and retreated to his room. Slamming the door behind him shut. Please forgive my son. He witnessed his stepfather get executed by Gato not so long ago. Ever since Kaiza was made an example of, Gato's name became taboo in this house. Naruto's pupils morphed back into their regular circle shape. And his whisker marks became significantly less defined. It's alright, Tsunami. We'll bring back proof that hope always prevails for Inari, believe it. Tsunami sported a small smile as she collected everyone's dirty dishes. Looks like it's time to act on that promise, Naruto. Kakashi informed as the orange sky shifted into an endless dark abyss that was littered with 3 Konoha ninja, then set out for Gato's headquarters. All with different goals. One for justice, one for revenge, and one for closure. Before they, Naruto summoned a single shadow clone to surveil their clients. Standing at the door, the chakra construct kept an eye out for Tezuna's family with full attention. 000. Gato's headquarters was a two-story building that had a one-way see-through bow window centered on the front of the second trio had guessed that was where Gato was hiding. The window had a perfect view of the bandits and thugs that had set up camp around the purple structure. Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke stood on the outskirts, stalking in the night as they observed on branches that were high up in the trees. Naruto, from here on out I am going to mold you into a prime example of a leader. In case if I'm ever incapacitated, you will be second in command. Starting now, I want you to devise a plan on how to eliminate Gato without alerting any of his followers. Another requirement I'm placing is that all thugs and bandits need to be erased. Or else you'll reach high risk in them taking asylum in the village. Kakashi's commanding tone took over as he explained. Sasuke, who was listening as well, refrained from asking why Naruto was chosen to be second in command. Not only did it make the Uchiha look like even less of a choice for the position. Questioning your Junin sensei on a mission would be highly unprofessional. Naruto struck a thinking pose before an idea popped into his head. Reaching into his pouch, he retrieved vials filled with watery purple substances. Ino-chan has recently gotten into medicine and has taken a liking to create sleep poisons. Now whatever in these bottles may just be liquids, but she somehow fixed it so that the liquid would turn into gas whenever it comes into contact with oxygen. Sasuke then raised his eyebrows at the scientific explanation. From what he had known of his surrogate brother is that he was more tuned with calligraphy arts. He didn't peg Naruto for a scientist. She gave me at least 6 vials filled with this toxin. I'll create 5 clones to strategically place them so the majority of his henchmen will be affected. After Naruto distributed the vials to the group of shadow clones he had just summoned, his doppelgangers then proceeded to spread the sleepy gas. Naruto then turned his attention to Kakashi. While all of this is happening, Kakashi-sensei will go into the headquarters and take care of Gato. When completed, we will wait for the signal. Kakashi nodded before the man disappeared in a swirl of leaves. 1 minute went by. A chorus of snores assaulted Naruto and Sasuke's ears. Another minute and soon the duo heard howling from a pack of dogs. Naruto then smiled at his Uchiha teammate. Alright Sasuke, it's your time to shine. One thing I didn't mention was that the toxin was highly flammable. Sasuke didn't waste any time before he spat out a fireball towards the nearest barrack. All it took was one fire release jutsu to turn the whole campsite into a bonfire. Agonizing screams deafened the natural background noise from nature. Grown men rushed out of their tents like bats spewing out of a cave. Naruto looked away. The preteen did what he had to. Sasuke was entranced by the flames, but soon the smell of burning flesh hit him. He tried his best to hold back a gag. Kakashi then shot out of the flames like a bullet. Orange will-o-wisps licking his attire as he landed on the branch. In his hands, a severed head, the genins assumed the skull belonged to the infamous Gato. Naruto had to repeatedly remind himself that he was committing monstrous acts to be seen as a hero. Another example as to why this world has to be reformed. Right now Naruto could only play along to the vicious beat. But everything will change soon. One day, Naruto thought solemnly. Mission complete, right sensei? Kakashi gave a nod before he placed Gato's head onto a sealing scroll that he retrieved from his vest. After applying a little bit of chakra to the paper, Gato was no more in this world. Alright team, let's head back. From now on we continue this mission with no issues. 000. That disappearing chakra signature from earlier had made Naruto on edge. Even as a clone he was on high alert as he guarded the house. So far for a while nothing seemed out of ordinary. The shadow clone started to ponder that whatever he sensed was after the original and the squad. Unfortunately his musings were proved incorrect when he heard Tsunami scream from inside. Barging in, He saw Tazuna holding up a kitchen knife threateningly as he protected his daughter and grandson. The threat in question was a humanoid monster with green hair. Here it was inside a Venus flytrap plant that adorned a black robe with red clouds. How did I not manage to sense him? Naruto then noticed the monster was holding onto Sakura. Rage. Let her go. Without a second thought, golden chains shot out of his back and went to impale the intruder. But to his avail, the nuisance had performed a black flip, cleanly dodging Naruto's attack. Then the man started to sink into the floor. Naruto was so perplexed with what he had just witnessed, that the clone tried to dispel a genjutsu. He was in no illusion. And now the mysterious figure had completely sunk into the ground. His teammate vanished with him. Sakura was just kidnapped in front of him. Once again he was powerless the second time today. Tuning into his sixth sense, he tried finding Sakura's diminishing chakra source. She wasn't even in his vicinity. The clone let out a mighty roar as he punched the ground. His strike was so powerful that it broke the floorboard and dismissed the clone. 000. Team 7 were returning to Tazuna's house at a casual pace before Naruto suddenly stopped dead in his tracks. His shift in movement concerned Kakashi and Sasuke as they came to an abrupt stop too. Sakura has been kidnapped. Kakashi's eyes widened before he demanded an explanation. All I remember is bursting through Tazuna's front door to see a guy that was half white and half black that was enveloped in a plant. Wearing a black robe with red clouds on it, holding Sakura already. I tried to attack him but he was slippery. Then the monster sunk into the ground with Sakura. Kakashi raised his eyebrow, wondering if this explanation was fabricated on the spot. Sasuke instantly recognized who Naruto was talking about thanks to the vivid description. His Sharingan always remembered faces. I might know who kidnapped her. Well, not on a personal basis, but I have met him before. I never really got a chance to get some data on him, but the man gave me a scroll on taijutsu some years back. What could he possibly want with her? She is barely alive, Sasuke announced. Sasuke, I want more details on that encounter later. For right now we will hurry back to Tazuna's house and search for clues as to where he could have possibly gone. The duo gave a nod before they proceeded to race back to the safe house. Sasuke, Naruto, and Kakashi found no trace of their kidnapped teammate when they returned. They only returned to a shaken and bewildered family complaining about their damaged floorboards. Of course, that discouraged Kakashi greatly. To the point where the man decided to stay alert throughout the following night, planning the next step for his students while keeping watch at all times. Hitaki would be damned if another one of his students perished on the battlefield again. So now we find the rest of the Genin squad gathered around in a forest clearing not too far from the house. Gray clouds painted the sky as the early morning dew glistened on the grass below. Kakashi stood in front of the two with straight posture and a serious gaze. All right, Team 7, before I instruct the both of you, I need a full report on what my team is capable of so far. Kakashi instructed. The dead last and rookie of the year shared a look. Afterwards, Naruto smoothly pulled a brush with ink already coating its bristles from his weapon's pouch. Drawing a seal on a piece of paper on his person, Naruto slammed the piece of art to the ground. Immediately a dome of chakra formed from the ground and encased the trio. Then it faded out, becoming undetectable. Privacy seal set. Any outsider out of our radius should not be able to sense, hear, or see us. Naruto proudly exclaimed his sealing capabilities. Your intuition has certainly improved, Naruto. Glad you know how important it is to protect village secrets. All right, Sasuke, you're up first. Kakashi pointed to the last Uchiha. So far I've only managed to master my Sharingan in my left eye. My right eye is only on its second stage. I'm also adept at using genjutsu to the point I can perform B-rank techniques without the use of my dojutsu. I excel in taijutsu. High Chunin would be around my level. My elemental affinities are lighting being my primary, and fire my secondary. Although I currently have one jutsu for my fire release, Sasuke Uchiha had the type of personality where one could claim as to be impatient. The Uchiha specifically remember telling his Jinchuriki of a teammate he had 5 minutes. No more, no less. Now here he was waiting at the bridge his sensei chose for the rendezvous point 20 minutes later, alone. One could only imagine the ire oozing off of the raven-haired pre-teen when he spotted Naruto arriving with a steaming hot bowl of ramen in his hand. Sasuke, you wouldn't believe it. On the way here I stopped at Ichiraku's because they were having special discounts today. Did you know it was Ayame's birthday also? We should stop by later after this meeting. I told them I would be back later. I was in such a rush I even had to take the bowl with me. Naruto stopped his ramblings and noticed his Uchiha brethren activate his Sharingan. Alright, so I take that as a pass. Before Sasuke could attack Naruto, a swirl of sand appeared between the two. Enter Gaara Hatake casually showing up with the use of his sand variant Shunshin. Sasuke paused as he deactivated his dojutsu. What are you doing here? The Uchiha questioned as he was genuinely curious. Meanwhile Naruto started sulking over his ramen he placed on the floor. A handful of sand could be seen floating in the broth. My ramen. You monster. Why did you attack my precious ramen? A sweat drop cascaded down the side of Gaara's head as he observed Naruto's mental breakdown. Deciding to ignore his fellow Jinchuriki, Gaara chose to respond to Sasuke instead. You haven't been informed yet. Ever since you guys returned to the village I've been the official acting third member of Team 7. Gaara's cautiously hesitated the last part of his sentence. Unsure if Sakura's death was still a sore topic for the two. Sasuke grunted before turning his attention towards the flowing water underneath the bridge. Naruto had looked like he was about to say something else before all three genins' attention were given to the arrival of their sensei. Okay, good. Now that everybody is gathered, let us start with the spectacular news. Konoha is hosting this year's Chunin exams tomorrow. Kakashi took a pause as he gauged the reaction of his students. He was met with silence and an eye roll from Sasuke. If the lack of reaction affected the masked nin, he didn't show it as he continued on. Now, before you guys ask any questions. No, I cannot tell you anything particular about my past experience in the exams. The exam wouldn't really be effective if I gave you guys a leg up in the competition. Naruto practically deflated as he sported a look of disappointment while his extended pointer finger slowly coiled back in a fist. On a serious note, I do expect all three of you to pass the first part with flying colors if you all decide to participate. Kakashi casted a heavy glare towards the Uchiha. Especially you, Sasuke. If I were to put money on it, I bet there will be spectators coming from all over the world to witness the last Uchiha in action. As a shinobi of Konoha, it will be your job to deliver. Team 7 nodded accordingly as they listened to their sensei. Are you sure the only reason you want us all passing is to hold up appearances? Or is it just because you don't want to lose to Might Guy in your rivalry? Kakashi chuckled softly at Naruto's observation. It warmed Kakashi's heart that his student really do look underneath the underneath. Rest assured, Naruto, there is no underlying tone in any of my requests. But yes, I do admit that my rivalry may have some influence on the urgency of you all passing. Kakashi snapped his book shut as he approached all three of his students. In his hands were 3 separate applications the size of playing cards. Crouching down so he could be eye level with all of them. The selection exams will be hosted at the academy. Arrive at 12. Do not disappoint me, team. The veteran Junin distributed the application cards before leaving in a flutter of leaves. Sasuke, Naruto, and Gaara shared a look with each other. All three simultaneously nodded their heads with determination. Even though no words were shared between the trio, there was one thing clear that they agreed on. Tomorrow was going to be a blast. Memories from his clone that he had left to watch Konohamaru alerted Naruto. Shortly after, he smacked his forehead in exasperation. Leave the kid alone for more than 20 minutes and he's already having his life threatened. Guys, it looks like some foreign ninja from Sunagaku are causing trouble, Naruto announced as he jumped onto the nearest rooftop. Gaara seemed slightly cautious while Sasuke followed nonetheless. Team 7 dashed from rooftop to rooftop, making a beeline straight to Konohamaru's destination. When they finally arrived, what greeted them was the sight of Konohamaru being held from his scarf by a teenage boy wearing a black cat-like onesie. Purple makeup designed his face in a warlike pattern. Hey kid, you should really watch where you're going. Has nobody ever taught you manners yet? Konohamaru's assailant interrogated him as he rocked the child's body back and forth, obnoxiously pronouncing each syllable at each shake. Let go of me, don't you know who I am? The sand ninja took pause at manhandling Konohamaru when he heard his outburst, tilting his head curiously as he waited for the brat to continue. Kankuro-san, you need to forgive the child. It doesn't look good for us to be terrorizing the locals. A boy who seemed to be Kankuro's teammate pleaded with him as he watched from the sidelines. He had light skin, and spiky taupe gray hair combed backwards except for 2 bangs. His attire consists of a long sleeveless, dark green shirt which was tied by a light green sash at his waist. For his bottom half, all he wore was gray pants. A forehead protector with an engraved hourglass was attached to the bottom of his shirt. A small amber magatama necklace hung around his neck proudly. Shut up. Just an extra father placed on our team. Remember, you're only here because we needed a third for this stupid exams. Kankuro basically disregarded Shira's advice before he brought his attention back onto Konohamaru, who was still struggling in his grasps. Taijutsu freak is right, Kankuro. If you get us all in trouble for this, just know I'm putting the blame all on you. This time a blonde-haired kunoichi chastised him. Her giant battle fan that clung to her back swayed back and forth as she shook her head. Don't worry, Tamari. I'm planning to teach this kid a quick lesson. Shouldn't take more than a second. Kankuro winded his fist back ready to strike. Then the sand ninja's 5th sense shot through the roof, practically screaming at him to dodge. So of course he did, letting go of Konohamaru in the process. 5 shuriken now embedded into the ground where he once stood. You know, harassing the Hokage's grandson isn't the wisest of all actions. You're really lucky that I'm the one to deal with you. Who knows how the Anbu that were assigned to trail him would have reacted. I'm sure you guys could make up some ideas of your own. After all, your pal's little lesson could have easily been interpreted as an act of war. Naruto and Sasuke walked side by side as they approached the band of sand ninjas. Kankuro seemed to pale at the mention of Hokage's grandson. His straightened posture gave everything away. Shira seemed somewhat in a similar state but was also tense, ready for a fight. Tamari regarded Naruto with a calculative look. Her mind sent off alarm bells as she spotted his facial features. Those whiskers, where have I seen those whiskers before? Tamari frantically searched her memories as she continued to analyze Naruto, helping Konohamaru to his feet. Our apologies, seems like we overstepped our boundaries. You see, the only reason my team is here is so that we can participate in the exams. Shira bravely took a step forward whilst he shoved his left hand in front of Kankuro. Well, if you're done harassing little kids, I suggest you 3 continue on like nothing ever happened. Would be a shame if you were incapacitated before the exams even start. Naruto commented threateningly, standing his ground. Of course we were just making our leave, our right, guys. Shira looked back towards his 2 teammates hoping they would agree. Kankuro scoffed in his direction and started to walk the opposite way down the street with Tamari following suit. The blonde girl sneaking a look over her shoulder towards Naruto one last time. Kankuro, doesn't that redhead seem familiar to you? She questioned her sibling. Her curiosity slowly started to aggravate her. Not having information in a foreign village allied or not nerved the fan user greatly. Beats me. Never seen the brat before. Also don't ever speak for me again, Shira. You're not the boss around here, so stop acting like your words hold weight. Shira made a face of pure disbelief as he followed behind. I may not be the leader, but at least I'm not here trying to get us killed. Seriously, the grandson of the Hokage. You couldn't try to sabotage our village's alliance any better if you tried. Shira spat as he stalked forward even faster. Meh, whatever. If I see that small fry in the exams, I'll surely make an example out of him for embarrassing us. Kankuro said. Meanwhile, Tamari at this point had been completely lost in her turmoil. They didn't even tell us their names. Well, since they're genins, I'm guaranteed to find out more about him. I'll have my answer soon enough. Naruto and Sasuke stood by as they watched the three sand ninja make their leave. Surprised gasps from a nearby rooftop of the building behind them drew their attention. Gaara was seen holding a kunai against the neck of a suspicious foreigner. His captive held his hands high up in the air, sleeves from his jacket seams excessively long as they covered both of his hands. Pure shock was shown in the genin's uncovered left eye as he had bandages covering most of his face. So cool, Konohamaru, who was still fixing his scarf, commented with stars in his eyes. Sasuke slightly squinted his eyes as he analyzed the sound note ingrained Hittite that hung loosely around his neck. I've never seen that symbol before. They must be from a new village. He offhandedly commented. Naruto nodded his head slowly as he agreed with the Uchiha. They must be basic genin level if their stealth is anything to go by. Naruto tauntingly cupped his hands around his mouth as he called to Gaara. And it looks like Gaara has interrupted their scouting. Gaara in response pressed his kunai with more force against his captive's neck. You know I don't take kindly to being spied on. Especially in my own village by a couple of strangers. Gaara said threateningly. The girl to his left had started to panic as she begun to realize all three of them had been compromised. Her long black hair wiped back and forth as she searched for a silent answer from bandages or her other male teammate. A boy with black spiky hair framed by his black Hittite that covered his left eye. Similar to Kakashi, but instead his headband covered the whole upper left half of his face. Let Dosu go before I have to make you. Patches raised his left palm, as his right hand cusped his left wrist. Air seemed to gather in the middle of his palm as it was sucked through a hole in his hand. Zaku, stand down. Slowly Zaku lowered his arm begrudgingly, while a scowl marred his face as he glared daggers towards Gaara. Said genin kicked the now-named teen, Dosu, forward roughly. Sasuke paused his explanation as he unsheathed his tanto. I tend to favor imbuing my sword with my lightning affinity to create a literal lightning blade. My kenjutsu definitely needs improvement, but I am confident I can defeat any experienced Chunin-level swordsman. Even if they were taught the sword arts at a young age. I also favor using ninja wire whenever I can. Sasuke finished his report with his usual stoic face. He doesn't slack in any of the jutsu departments good, but unfortunately his lightning affinity can only be accessed with the assistance of his weapon. For now I'll teach him Reikiri. Let's see what his imagination can do with it. Kakashi once again gave an approving nod before he pointed to Naruto. Well, let's start with Fuinjutsu. At the moment I'm only a level 5 seal user. The highest stage 1 could obtain is level 10, so I'm halfway there onto becoming a seal master. As you already know, my favorite mastered technique is the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. I can perform it with no hand seals now, and I've also managed to learn its other variants such as explosive shadow clones, and shuriken clone technique. I cannot use genjutsu, but thanks to my tenon I'm immune to any regular type of illusion. Naruto strained the regular part in his last statement as he casted a glance over to his Uchiha teammate. My primary element is wind and my secondary element is water. I only have one elemental wind jutsu so far, Futon, Daitapa. Haven't had any luck with water release so far. I've been struggling with dampening a leaf, so I've been putting it off for a while. I've also been training with my Biju chakra. I can safely use up to 3 tails so far. If I were to give a rate on my taijutsu, I'd say about Chunin level. Naruto finished his self-analysis with a forced smile. His cheerful attitude failed to fool not only his sensei but his teammate as well. He has no water. It might be best if I teach him the Rasengan. He should theoretically create his own water jutsu by combining his elemental nature with the Rasengan, eventually. Kakashi thought to himself as a million ideas started to run through his head. But for now he settled with Plan A. Alright you two, after that quick evaluation I have decided what's the next appropriate step for the both of you. 000. 7 days passed by. The winds blew outrageously wild on this particular afternoon. Cumulonimbus clouds painted the sky gray, blocking sunshine from shining through. It was raining and the shower was not letting up. Raindrops cascaded downwards Sasuke's arm all the way down to his singed fingertips. His hands were covered in burn marks, but the damage to his body was nothing compared to the surrounding clearing. Potholes the size of cars littered the ground. The trees weren't faring well either. Some trees were littered with fist-sized holes. Some were completely thrashed as if a tropical storm hit their trunk head-on. Naruto mirrored the Uchiha's sluggish movements. But Sasuke knew his teammate would recover faster than he could snap his fingers. Panting heavily, the redhead stared at his dominant right hand, which was covered with scratches, bruises and cuts. The cuffs of his long-sleeved orange shirt imitated that of a piece of paper going halfway through a shredder. But despite the clear fatigue that showed on both of the genins' faces, they were practically ecstatic. "You ready, Sasuke?" Naruto yelled out a war cry as he stretched his arm out to the side of him. Chakra started to visibly swirl in on itself in the palm of his right hand, eventually spiraling in control to form a dense ball of chakra in the middle of his hand. "Bring it, Dobi." Sasuke mirrored his teammate's actions, sporting a wide grin of his own. His left hand started to crackle and pop with electricity as bolts of lighting covered his palm and shot out from his fingertips. Chirps of 1,000 birds battled with the sound of falling rain. Then they shot off, meeting each other in the middle of the field. Rasengan. Chidori. The sheer power behind the two techniques clashed for dominance. Both of their chakra, now visible, danced like flames from a bonfire. A silent agreement commenced between the two as they never broke eye contact. Both techniques came to a calming end. Flashing lights and swirling chakra disappeared only to reveal the Uzumaki and Uchiha fist bumping. "Wow, I can't believe it took my father 3 years to create the Rasengan. It only took me a week to learn it." Naruto idly boasted as he shot his fists up into the air, striking a champion pose. "HNN. All that matters is that we get stronger, so we can find Sakura." Sasuke's normally blank face held emotion for once. An emotion that was very foreign for the Uchiha to express. And even rarer for Naruto to witness. Regret. After the calm 7 days that followed the climactic battle, Naruto and Sasuke agreed that Sakura must be still alive. Of course Sasuke had his doubts. But after a long conversation, Naruto persuaded his teammate with a convincing speech. Naruto observed the sky. The rainfall started to fall even harder. "I can't tell if the sun is about to dawn or not. Let's rendezvous with Sensei before he searches for us just in case." Sasuke agreed. The duo then marched back towards their humble cabin, going over ideas on HWO to use their new techniques in future battles. 000. Hiruzen stood gravely still in front of his bay view window. According to an Anbu sighting report, Team 7 did not return with their female fourth member. Anxiety coldly hugged the old man's neck and chest. A rip from his pipe to wash away the worries. Milky clouds banishing the cold jitters of fear. Responsibility frowned upon the third Hokage today. The door opened, entering the incomplete team. "Report," Hiruzen sternly demanded. C-rank mission to escort Tazuna was successfully completed. Unfortunately, there was a major casualty, Kakashi said in the best monotone voice he could muster. Kakashi then went on to explain the events that transpired on their mission. A looming shadow layered over the old relic's eyes as he listened intently. After Kakashi finished speaking, a long pause gave birth. So Kakashi, what you are telling me is that I lost one of my upcoming kunoichi for a bridge named in her honor and the pocket money of a drug dealer. Not only that, but the whereabouts and status of Sakura Haruno is also unknown. Hiruzen's grave voice sent shivers down Naruto's spine. Sasuke felt uneasy, but the look of guilt was subtle upon his face. Hi Hokage-sama. A disappointed sigh was exhaled by the old man. Naruto had to admit, failure in front of his grandfatherly figure did hurt indeed. Sakura Haruno will be deemed deceased until further evidence of her status comes to light. Kakashi, you are suspended from your ninja duties for 3 months. You will still be allowed to register as acting Junin for your team in the upcoming Chunin exams, but nothing else. Normally a more severe punishment would be needed for Junin showing such incompetence and reckless behavior. But you're a special case, Kakashi. I know this punishment will act more as mercy than anything else. You might be able to fool your students, but I've been your acting commander since you were in the academy. I know my soldiers Hatake, and I cannot have you as a risk for your fellow shinobi until you've healed from this loss. Team 7, you are dismissed. Sasuke and Naruto left with no words as they calmly walked outside of the office. Kakashi removed his headband to place it upon Hiruzen's desk, leaving in a swirl of leaves. Hiruzen exhaled slowly. Carbon mixed with tobacco smoke polluted the office air only slightly. The responsibilities that came with the title Hokage were never forgiving. Anbu, inform Operative Tanuki that his services for the organization are no longer needed. He will be demoted back to Genin rank, and starting tomorrow he will be the official new member for Team 7. It hasn't even been a year yet and already the graduating class has started to dwindle. Maybe I was wrong. The third Hokage sighed as he pressed a button on his intercom. Akari, may you please send a messenger ninja to the Haruno household. Right on it, Lord Third. Dire news had to be dealt with, but the village still needed to be governed. If Hiruzen had to personally inform every family their loved one had passed away on a mission, then he would never be able to finish this paperwork. And to be honest, he would rather stay seated in his office chair than break the hearts of mothers, fathers, children. 000. Shikamaru, let's go back to the village. I need more chips. Choji Akaimaiki, the muscle and heart of Team 10, was currently starving. His fellow teammate and self-proclaimed brother, Shikamaru Nara, lay next to him as he analyzed the sky. The young Nara continued to stare at the sky, tuning out Choji's plea for food, a practice that has become more of a second habit at this point. Currently Team 10 were waiting for the sensei, Asuma Sarutobi, to arrive. The seasoned Junin was never this late usually though. An uneasy feeling came over both Shikamaru and Ino. Shikamaru, I swear if you corrupted sensei and turned him lazy, I'm kicking your ass, Ino accused as she pointed towards her childhood friend. Shikamaru scoffed and rolled his eyes. Troublesome blondes. The ever so subtle sound of grass being stepped on quickly alerted the genin. Asuma Saruto finally arrived at Training Ground 10. He walked slower than usual. Alarm bells now started to go off between all three. What's with the down look, sensei? Ino asked. This had been the first time witnessing her tutor this serious since their graduation exam. I have been informed of some terrible news recently. Sakura Haruno has fallen on the field. Ino stood rigid. You must be kidding, Asuma-sensei. Ino accused with a nervous smile. The bearded Junin face held no amusement. His silence was enough to confirm her nightmare. How did she die, Asuma-sensei? Ino practically yelled her question. I was told she perished in an explosion. Asuma regretfully informed his genin. Oh. If you don't mind, may I be pardoned? Asuma didn't dare to deny her. It was important for soldiers to grieve properly. The chances of her becoming a cold murderer with no emotions drastically decreased if done correctly. Shikamaru and Choji watched as Ino bolted from the training ground worriedly. Choji was about to give chase but was held back by Asuma. It's best to let her handle this on her own. For her own sake. 000. Ino's mind was a blur as she raced through the streets of Konoha. It didn't take long for her to reach her clan compound. The first thing she did after she arrived home was decide to pack a gift basket to show her condolences. Rummaging through her kitchen, Ino retrieved 2 bottles of her clan's famous ale. She then took a generous amount of money from her personal savings and placed it into the basket also. The blonde then searched for items that reminded her of the deceased Haruno. For example, a shuriken painted pink, courtesy from Sakura, who made it in arts back in the day at the academy. Ino forced down a pained sob when she spotted Sakura's ridiculous pink bow that she used to wear in her first year. A memento given to her after Ino made one too many crude remarks about it. Words Ino wished she could take back. She placed the bow into the basket. After finishing prepping the basket and making sure nothing was out of place, she then headed off towards the Haruno residence. Ringing the doorbell, she waited for an answer. After quite some time, Ino contemplated leaving her basket at their doorsteps, but alas, the door opened. What greeted her was a tired-looking Mebuki who looked as if she had just survived a battle. The woman looked a total mess. Her bloodshot eyes held pain. Her unkempt hair seemed as unruly as the tissue that poked out the box she was holding. Mebuki-san. It's been a while. Ino awkwardly greeted the grieving mother with a bow. Ino-chan. I'm so glad to see you again, please come in. Albeit slow, Mebuki ushered Ino into the kitchen where Kazashi sat, never taking his eyes off the newspaper. Good evening, Kazashi-san. Flip. I've brought you both a basket that's filled with my memories of Sakura and fine delicacies. Finally, then did Kazashi disregard his daily literature. The old man stood tall as he inspected the basket. The first item he picked up was his baby girl's pink bow that she used to love to wear so much. All it took was Sakura to die for you to visit us old folk again, huh? Kazashi offhandedly said as he traced his fingers over the texture of the bow. Ino bit her tongue. She couldn't dare look the man in his eyes. At a loss for words, all Ino could do was stare at the ground. Kazashi, there was no reason for you to be so out of line. A stern glare from Mebuki barely affected the hurting father. No reason. I encouraged my only child to go and play ninja. I can't believe I sent my daughter out into that cold world like that. Not even a body to recover. We didn't even get to say goodbye to our little cherry blossom. Kazashi popped the cap off the bottle with his thumb and took a swig. But no worries, dear wife. Here we are gifted with such fine sake for our troubles. The amount of passive aggressiveness that laced Kazashi's voice was practically lethal. Deep down, Ino knew Sakura's dad meant no harm. She knew everybody grieved differently. Some lash out their feelings upon others. Some keep their grief bottled up inside until one day they explode with emotion. Learning about human emotion was something her father made sure she studied if she ever were to become clan head one day. Mebuki placed a gentle hand on Ino's shoulder. I'm sorry, sweetie. Kazashi is not himself right now. Thank you for the basket, but I think you should be on your way home before it gets dark. Alright. Ino went to the door and opened it. Sorry for your loss, the both of you. Sakura was a great friend to me. It pains me to know that this is what her fate came to be. Ino then finally closed the door. The sound of glass shattering made her flinch, but the poor girl refused to investigate. 000. See you later, Naruto. I'm going home. After Naruto and Sasuke left the cage tower, the Uchiha decided to immediately isolate himself. Naruto wanted to reach out to his self-proclaimed brother but couldn't even bother to himself. Instead, the redhead watched the Uchiha leave. I guess I'll see him tomorrow. For the first time in a long while, Naruto could confidently say that he was tired. Without wasting time, the Uzumaki made a beeline straight home. On the way there, he managed to be caught by Ino. Whiskers. Her loud greeting brought a smile to Naruto's face. The blonde ran into the Jinchuriki and clobbered him into a hug. Civilians passing by gave crazy looks towards Ino as if she was insane. Openly sparing affection to the Kyuubi incarnate was sure to garner some looks. I haven't seen you in weeks. Come on, let's catch up. Ino grasped Naruto's hand reassuringly. I was just on the way home actually. I guess you could tag along, Naruto replied calmly. Ino gave a nod as she fell in line with her whiskered friend. The walk to his apartment had been silent but comforting. Albeit Naruto's knuckles had turned ash-white due to his iron grip on Ino's hand. She must admit that his iron-like grip was a tad bit painful, but she would never complain to him out loud. It kind of warmed her heart to know how reluctant he was to let her go. But Ino knew Whiskers better than anybody else in the village. His saunter that held confidence did a great job concealing the regret his posture emitted. The boy refused to show weakness in front of the villagers. Finally, the duo arrived at Naruto's studio apartment. He adorably held the door open for Ino, as he does every time, never failing to forget. All right, Ino-chan, take a seat. I'll whip you up the Naruto special just for you. We have to celebrate my first A-rank mission after all. Ino forced a smile on her face as she accepted the chair he pulled out for her. She didn't say anything as studied her favorite redhead as he tied his yellow apron. White characters printed boldly on the front claiming ramen chef decorated the piece of fabric. Naruto retrieved an assortment of vegetables from his refrigerator for the stock of his famous ramen dish. Rolling up the sleeves of his blood-stained shirt, Naruto began to slice the vegetables, noticeably avoiding the onions. Chop. Naruto, I'm not really hungry right now. Naruto turned his attention to his closest female friend, his now only female friend, with a slightly raised eyebrow. Confusion written all over his face. He had always been such a good actor. Nonsense, Ino-chan, it's been almost 3 weeks since I last saw you. Tonight should be our special reunion, you know. Chop. Your cuts are getting sloppy, Naruto-kun. The Jinchuriki ignored Ino's jab blissfully as he kept focused on the task at hand. Chop. A frown slowly marred itself upon Ino's face as she watched the tragedy unfold in front of her. To a stranger, Naruto would seem quite alright. But to her, that boy was nothing of the sort. Naruto, I heard what happened on your mission. Chop. You know, I vividly remember you boasting about an explosive seal tag project before you left. Please don't tell me that had anything to do with her death. The sound of Ino's chair scraping against the cold hard wood as she scooted out from her chair reverberated throughout the one-bedroom apartment. Chop. Her light footsteps sounded heavy to the distraught redhead. Chop. Ino then slowly wrapped her arms around his torso, bringing him closer to her. Soft petite fingers intertwined with his agitated rough hands, smoothly disarming the kitchen knife that was covered with vegetable acid. No words were shared between the two. Only actions that spoke thousands of words. Ino knew Naruto didn't need a speech of encouragement but a hug. Drip. A teardrop fell onto the cutting board. And then another. And then another. This was now the second time he had broken his vow. But even with all of Naruto's strength, he couldn't help it. It wasn't supposed to be my fault, Ino-chan. That tag was supposed to protect her. The amount of despair in Naruto's voice almost forced the Yamanaka heiress to create her own tears. Turn around, Naruto. And that he did. Ino then grabbed the sides of his face as she connected her forehead with his. It wasn't your fault, Naruto-kun. Let it all out. I'm here. Sobs that evoked hiccups that branched into trembles came upon Naruto in an instant. Losing a best friend is hard, but believing you're the reason why they're gone. A delusion Ino prayed to never experience. Her purple kimono shirt had then been stained with tears. But she did not dare pay attention. Fashion will never come before her loved one. The shinobi world is cold and cruel. Naruto-kun. 000. Hakusho Kaden. Training logs were ripped from the ground as they were sent flying by a spinning dome of chakra. Hinata's breath ran ragged as she rested her hands upon her knees. Nonetheless, she turned around with a smile, anxious for the reaction of her sensei and parent. Hinata's mother, Hitomi Hyuga, slowly gave her a round of applause as she bore a small smile. She was proud that her daughter finally managed to perform the revolving heaven technique flawlessly. A rite of passage that her firstborn indeed passed. As a mother, she couldn't be prouder. Hitomi only started to train Hinata after she graduated, never finding the need to oversee her training progress in the academy because she firmly believed Hinata should have been having fun and spent that time as a kid to the fullest. Alright Hinata-chan, it's time for a break. Hanabi, why don't you show mommy your practiced gentle fist stances? Hanabi, her second child, looked up at her with a determined smile. Previously, the little ball of energy was clinging onto her mother's purple kimono as she observed her older sister train. But now the academy student bolted to the last standing training log. Fixing her stance, she palm striked the log repeatedly as she breathed out, Kai, in between strikes. Hitomi then split her attention as she decided to address her little clan heiress. Are you participating in the upcoming Chunin exams, princess? More power in your strike, Hanabi-chan. Hitomi called out as she stood calmly on the wooden deck. Hinata, who had recently taken a rest upon the stairs, looked at her mother with rapt attention. Yes, mother. Kuranai-sensei informed us yesterday that she planned on enrolling us this year. Truthfully, I am kind of excited for it. Maybe the exams will be a chance to show father how capable I really am. Hadmi agreed wholeheartedly as she placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. In the distance, Hinata noticed her cousin passing by. Neji walked by with a sour face. Hitomi knew exactly why Neji despised the main branch so furiously. Not only had the boy been marked with a cage bird seal, but the kidnap situation only fed fire to the flames. Hitomi strongly felt that the Kumo incident was partly her fault. Only if she buckled down on being a good mother back then. Even with her Byakugan, Hitomi couldn't foresee the kidnapping of her daughter that night. Neji's father, Hizashi Hyuga, had to pay for the consequences of her incompetence. Ever since then, Hitomi wanted to lend out her hand for the orphaned Hyuga, but she couldn't. Not only did the reputation of being the wife to clan head restricted her, but the elders themselves forbid her from helping any side branch member in that type of matter. They deemed it as unbecoming, a joke if one asked for her opinion. Hinata-chan, please promise me this. Hinata's attention was solely on her mother. In the upcoming exams, there will be a chance that you'll be tasked with fighting Neji. If so, please remember that he is family. That boy is lost in own sorrow. All he needs is a helping hand. And since you're his cousin, it should be your duty to save him. Hinata stared forward, unsure of the nonsense her mother was spouting. But mother, Neji hates me. I don't see how I could ever get through to him. Hitomi stood up and approached Hinata, intertwining her wrinkled hands with her daughter's delicate ones. Yes, all you may see is his hate, but even with your Byakugan you surely could easily miss his pain. Neji is suffering, Hinata-chan. And as his aunt, it pains me to know my nephew is fighting this battle alone. Hinata's eyes widened at the sadness that shone in her mother's pale eyes. Alright, Ka-chan, I'll do my best to save Neji, I promise. 000. Root Anbu headquarters. Shino stood front and center. The blank mask he used to hide his identity was perfectly stuck to his face. Danzo was sitting in his office chair. The desk in front of him had papers sprawled out on top of it. So how do you like your new gear so far? Danzo asked. My outfit suits me well, Lord Danzo. Underneath his root mask, Shino wore another mask with built-in glasses. The mask did not cover a small area around his nose and mouth. Aburame donned a skin-tight black shirt with red straps on his shoulders. An open sea green jacket with a high upturned collar covered his upper body for the most part. Black gloves clung tightly to his hands. For his lower body attire he wore ankle-length black pants with black shinobi sandals. A shinobi pouch connected to his belt. That's good to hear. Now on to more pressing matters. Have your sensei informed your squad of the upcoming Chunin exams yet? The old war hawk questioned his soldier. Yes, Lord Danzo-sama, both of my teammates wholeheartedly agreed to participate. Shino replied in the same monotone voice he usually addressed Danzo with. Shino, you will have a very important mission while you're participating in these exams. Make sure that not one Sunagaker ninja leaves this year's exams alive. It is crucial that none of those foreign ninjas escape these walls. Danzo commanded with a grave tone. If rumors got out that Konoha did indeed steal the Ikibi Jinchuriki from Sunagaker, that would just spell trouble for the village. Yes, Lord Danzo-sama. Mission understood. 000. Wednesday. 11 a.m. There sat Naruto on a grassy field. Winds blew through the grass softly as he meditated. His unruly unkempt crimson hair reached all the way to the back of his neck now. Recreating his late father's haircut to a T. Now he only wore a dark orange shirt with black anbu pants completed by bandages wrapped around his ankles and black sandals. A style of fashion that he decided to keep from now on. It has now been an entire week since he returned from the land of waves. Since then the genin had been training like a madman, forcing himself to improve so that none of his comrades would perish in the upcoming exams. Naruto decided to mainly focus on his secondary affinity. The Jinchuriki managed to replicate two water-style techniques he witnessed that day. Suishin. Suiro no Jutsu. A water-style prison technique that traps his foe in a bubble of water. Kurigakur no Jutsu. Naruto's personal favorite new jutsu because it worked insanely well with his shadow clones. Due to his massive chakra reserves, he could create fog that could cover a small village. Not only that, but Naruto also managed to combine his water chakra with his Rasengan to create a new jutsu. Sweden. Rasengan. The redhead basically compresses a whole tsunami into a Rasengan and when successfully hit, releases waves that could uproot trees. Not only that, but the Uzumaki mastered 3 taels worth of Biju chakra and can now utilize up to 4 taels worth of chakra. Albeit 4 taels worth of Kurama's chakra was very difficult to control. Thanks to the help of his shadow clones, Naruto improved his Fuinjutsu capabilities and is now a level 6 seal master. Currently the redhead was supervising his new apprentice, who was failing miserably at attempting to tree walk. You're using too much chakra, Konohamaru. Naruto bellowed as he laughed at the academy student who was sent flying off the tree. I think I'm getting the hang of it now, boss. He was not. His ridiculously long scarf was tied around a branch that he tried his best to retrieve. How did it come to this, you ask? Well, it all started after Sakura's funeral. Flashback. His possibly deceased teammate's funeral was peaceful. Her burial happened on a sunny day. It was kind of nice to have his graduating class all reunited once again. Although it was under such unfortunate circumstances. The highlight of the ceremony was the third Hokage's speech. His words of wisdom boosted the morale of the crowd only a little. Today we all gather here to give blessings to our fallen Kunoichi. She gave her life for this village, therefore it is only correct that we as Konoha immortalize her memory. Sakura Haruno's name has been added to the memorial stone. May her will of fire be passed on to each and every one of us. Now let us give silence for her precious soul. Not long after Naruto decided to take his leave. Sakura shall always remain in his heart, but right now he needs to get stronger. She could still be out there and he needed to be on top of his game if he dared to try and bring her back. On the way home he noticed he was being followed by a child. A child who was complete shit at stealth. Naruto hoped that whoever they were wasn't aiming to be a shinobi with skills like that. Oi brat, I know you're following me. That rock disguise you're using isn't even in a natural shape. What type of boulder looks like a box? Naruto yelled as he approached the perfectly cut boulder. Whoever was under the makeshift boulder faltered before throwing off their disguise, revealing a kid with short spiky brown hair, blue eyes, and a small chip in his tooth. He wore a gray helmet with a hole at the top for his hair to stick out of. A long blue scarf that was way too big for him hung loosely around his neck. Behold, for I am the great Konohamaru Sarutobi, future Hokage of the Hidden Leaf. Huh. Konohamaru's eyebrow twitched before he retrieved a couple of dull shuriken. You must be Naruto Uzumaki. The child pointed towards Naruto as he addressed him. The one and only. I overheard my grandfather talking highly about a genin with red hair. He claims that you're an excellent shinobi even though you are only 4 years older than me. So here I am to challenge you to show him that not even his top shinobi is no match for me. Neat. Before Konohamaru could even throw his dull weapons, his view of Naruto was flipped. His ankle was now in the hands of a clone as he was now held him upside down. The academy student's attitude did a complete 180 as now stars were shown in his pupils. Whoa, there's 2 of you, no, that's so cool. How'd you do that? Naruto chuckled at his childlike wonder. Ninja secret, responded Naruto. Alright, change of plans. Instead of being my rival, you are now my boss. Teach me your ways, Naruto-sensei. Konohamaru pleaded as he clapped his hands together. Naruto dispelled his clone as approached Konohamaru. Are you sure you want to learn under me? It will not be easy being my student. Naruto informed him in a deadly serious tone. The academy student took a pause before he shouted triumphantly. I can handle whatever you got. The next thing Konohamaru knew, he was falling to the floor. Naruto dashed behind the child and swept his legs. As Konohamaru got up, he was kicked lightly, sending him to the floor again. Naruto was not allowing him to stand. Before I teach you anything, I've got to toughen you up. Life as a ninja isn't a safe one. You need to understand that there are monsters out there. A strong body used to pain will only help you. It was a good thing Konohamaru caught Naruto near a training ground. Who knows how the villagers would react to the demon brat kicking around the 3rd Hokage's grandson. Flashback end. Naruto watched as Konohamaru fell a 3rd time. This time the kid managed to fall into a roll. At least he's learning how to fall properly now. The displacement of air next to him alerted the redhead. Sasuke now stood next to him sporting a bored expression. It seemed he was about to say something until the sound of exploding bark interrupted him. Boss, did you see that I got up 6 steps that time? Konohamaru yelled as he enthusiastically threw his hands into the air. Keep up the good work. Soon you'll be able to get your scarf back. Naruto chuckled as he encouraged the youth. Sasuke scoffed at the scene. You're babysitting children now. His remark was overheard by Konohamaru, who wasted no time addressing the Uchiha. Oi, I'm not just any brat. I'm going to be the Hokage one day, so you better respect your future village leader. Sasuke refused to indulge in the academy student's antics and swiftly ignored him. Kakashi wants to meet us at the bridge in 5 minutes. Come alone. Do not bring your charity project. Sasuke then left using Shunshin. What's his problem, boss? Konohamaru questioned. He's my teammate. Don't take any offense to him. You see, he's usually like that to everybody. Keep working on that exercise while I go meet up with my squad. See ya later, Konohamaru. The Hokage's grandson was left dumbfounded as Naruto popped into smoke. So cool. Konohamaru then brought his attention to his scarf that was still tied loosely around the branch that was 30 feet in the air. Konohamaru sighed as retrieved a real kunai, a gift from Naruto, as he planned to scale the tree the old-fashioned way. Before the kid could even stab his kunai into the bark, he was kicked off the tree by a Naruto clone. Remember, Konohamaru, there are no shortcuts into becoming the Hokage. Now get up and scale that tree with chakra this time. The clone smugly announced as he sat upon the same branch his scarf was located. Wow, boss wasn't kidding when he said he was not gonna be a pushover. Releasing a sigh, Konohamaru attempted to tree walk once again. If all three of you don't leave now, things will get ugly. Gaara's remark made Zaku physically restrain a snarl that was threatening to be his new expression. A pointed look from Dosu reigning in his impulsive actions. After that, the three strangers disappeared from Team 7's sight. Naruto and Sasuke shared a glance between each other before they both synonymously shrugged their shoulders. This trio had been completely unfazed by the recent events. So they had no choice but to continue on with their day. Konohamaru, who was trailing behind the three, kept insisting on Gaara to teach him how to sneak up on his future enemies. 000. Thursday 9 a.m. Today was the day. Naruto had barely gotten any sleep the night before. He had been too excited for the upcoming exams. So much so that the boy had conjured up quite a foggy mind. The dilemma of facing competition with foreign ninjas that wanted a promotion, just as bad as he did, had bared sort of a pressing matter upon his shoulders. It bothered the redhead greatly, to the point that he decided to stay up throughout the whole night to work on his ceiling progression. The perfect way to distract himself. Ink and paper were sprawled all across his living room floor. The mess around him symbolizes the stress and discoordination that plagued his mind. At least your coping habits are more healthy than your supposed role models. After a long quiet night without any of the fox's comments, Naruto hadn't thought he would hear from his Biju at all for a while. I can't help it, Kurama. Kakashi-sensei had put me in charge of our team. I just don't want a repeat of what happened in the Land of Waves. A condescending snort was the demon fox's response. Here's a piece of advice from my memories back when I was sealed inside Kushina. Willpower is a very important tool for a leader. If you don't have willpower, then those that follow you won't have morale. You cannot break when a situation hasn't even presented itself yet. Just calm down and push on. Worry not about the problems that have yet to appear, but prepare for the setbacks that undoubtedly will show themselves. A long sigh escaped the juvenile's lips as he prepared to wake his teammates. Forming his finger into the ram seal, two shadow clones bursted into existence, startling both Sasuke and Gaara. While the clones went and tidied up, his two teammates began to immediately assort their gear. Speaking of gear, Sasuke had decided upon himself to change his wardrobe. Instead of the red shirt he had on before, he switched it to a high-collared navy blue short-sleeved shirt that had his clan emblem stitched to the back. And he sported white shorts with blue sandals to complete the outfit. Original genin outfit, but without the arm warmers. Sasuke picked up his tanto and sheathed it inside of his harness that ran across his chest and fastened over both his shoulders. His sword lying diagonally across his back with the handle facing his left shoulder. Then the boy took his ninja tool pouch and clipped it onto the back of his waist while he fastened his kunai holster to the outer part of his left thigh. Gaara still wore the same outfit he had on the day he graduated. Sasuke took a pause as he observed Naruto. You didn't sleep at all last night, did you? It honestly amused Naruto how the Uchiha masked his worries behind feigned annoyance. Sasuke kept a level-headed glance as his eyebrows were knitted together. Naruto held his hands up in surrender. Looks like you figured me out, Uchiha. After all, it's rather impossible to keep up charades around each other nowadays. Isn't that right? Sasuke pocketed a ceiling scroll that held an assortment of paper tags, ninja wires, smoke bombs and other ninja tools. Alright, what exactly are you trying to accuse me of? Disdain danced wildly inside of his onyx black eyes. Classic Sasuke, always quick to pick up his taunts. Naruto chuckled as he grabbed his own pre-made sealing scroll that contained the same items with the addition of sealing paper and ink. Oh, nothing, I just find it funny how flimsy your excuse was to sleep over. What did you say again? Oh yeah, Sleeping over would save efficient enough time for us in the morning. You know, next time you can just tell us you just want to be included. Exiting the bathroom, Gaara decided now was the perfect time to enter his own 2 cents. It's okay to place your trust in me, Sasuke. After all, friendship is important for any team, right? Gaara egged on while sporting a soft smile, ticking off Sasuke even more. The raven-haired genin scoffed. Whatever, just don't drag us down later because you're tired. The Uchiha left the studio apartment promptly while ignoring the two Jinchuriki who followed behind, sharing a round of laughter on the way. Closing his door, Naruto noticed a neatly wrapped package that was placed on top of his dirty welcome mat. Kneeling down, Naruto ripped off the note that was stuck to it. Heard you were participating in the exams today. Hope this gift benefits you somewhat. Good luck, Naruto, I believe in you, Jiraiya. A warm smile formed on Naruto's face as he ripped open the present only to find a newly updated bingo book. The redhead wasted no time as he started to read entry to entry. The book kept Naruto's mind focused while Team 7 navigated their way through the village. Right before the team arrived at the academy gates, Naruto froze. A bewildered look creeped onto his facial expression as he turned the pages to one particular entry in the databook. Kiba Inuzuka of the Bloody Fang.